The story didn't end with a text, not even close. When Lil Durk's message reached King Von behind bars, fans thought they understood the tension, but nothing could prepare them for what came next. King Von's mother broke her silence, and the claims she made sent shockwaves across the hip-hop world. Her words weren't just emotional, they were explosive. Questions about loyalty, intentions, and the real story behind Von's relationships with his closest allies suddenly dominated headlines. The message from Durk, once seen as a routine check-in, now felt like a spark that lit a powder keg. Every lyric, every post, every interview was dissected under a new lens. Fans and insiders began piecing together hidden truths, rumors, and behind-the-scenes drama that had gone unnoticed. What emerged was a story far darker and more complex than anyone imagined. One of betrayal, trust tested, and loyalties questioned. The streets, the fans, and the music world were now forced to confront a truth that wasn't just personal, but public. King Von's mother didn't hold back. Her revelations added layers to a story already fraught with tension, challenging the narratives fans had believed. Every claim reshaped the way people saw Durk Von and the bonds that were supposed to hold them together. This wasn't just a feud. It was a lesson about trust, power, and the fragile nature of relationships in hip-hop. And as the world waited for answers, one thing became clear. In the aftermath of Durk's message, nothing would ever be the same. It started as a simple message, or at least, that's what many thought. Lil Durk reached out to King Von while he was behind bars. A check-in, a sign that brotherhood still mattered. But in the world of hip-hop, and especially in the streets of Chicago, no message is ever simple. Every word carries weight, every pause carries meaning, and every action can spark speculation. Fans thought they understood the tension, but they were only scratching the surface. King Von's mother soon broke her silence, adding fuel to the fire. Her claims were shocking, raw, and deeply personal. She didn't just defend her son, she exposed cracks, questioned intentions, and forced the public to confront a truth that many had overlooked. Her voice gave context to the message, turning what seemed like a routine exchange into a public reckoning. The streets, the fans, and the music industry all paid attention. Social media exploded with reactions, debates, and endless analysis. Every post, every lyric, every cryptic comment from Durk was now under scrutiny. People wondered, was the message genuine? Was it an olive branch or a subtle warning? And most importantly, what did King Von's mother really know, and what was she willing to reveal? Inside the industry, insiders confirmed that tension had been simmering long before the message. Studio sessions weren't the same. Conversations were cautious, measured. Even close friends noticed the shift. Pride, loyalty, and ambition had quietly begun to collide. And the simple message from Durk became the spark that brought everything to light. For Von's mother, speaking out wasn't just about the public. It was about truth, about protecting her son's legacy, and about holding those around him accountable. Her revelations weren't just claims. They were insights into the fragile nature of relationships in a world where fame, money, and survival constantly test loyalty. The fans dissected every detail. Old interactions were re-examined. Past posts were read in new ways. Every lyric Durk had ever recorded, every story shared online became potential evidence. The jail message, once ordinary, now felt like the starting point of a deeper investigation, one into loyalty, betrayal, and the cost of trust in hip-hop. For Durk, the challenge was clear: respond publicly and risk escalating the situation, or let the music speak. He chose the latter. Each verse, each track, became a coded statement, a way to express frustration, disappointment, and lessons learned without openly confronting the chaos online. Meanwhile, King Von's mother's words added urgency. Her claims weren't just emotional, they were a warning. She made it clear that actions have consequences, that words matter, and that the streets remember everything. Her revelations reframed the narrative, shifting public perception and forcing everyone to rethink the story they thought they knew. This wasn't just drama. This was real life, amplified by fame, amplified by loyalty, tested, and amplified by the emotional weight of a mother standing up for her son. It became a lesson in trust, a reminder that even the closest bonds can be fragile, and that fame can expose truths that were once hidden behind loyalty and love. And as the world watched, one thing was undeniable. Lil Durk's message had opened a door, and King Von's mother had walked through it, revealing a story far darker and more complex than anyone could have imagined. Once King Von's mother spoke out, the world couldn't look away. What had started as a private message between Durk and Von now turned into a public spectacle. Her claims weren't just words, they carried weight, history, and perspective only a mother could provide. Fans, the streets, and media outlets dissected every sentence, every nuance. Every lyric from Durk, every past post. Every story was suddenly read under a microscope. The claims she made weren't gentle. She accused, she questioned, and she revealed layers of tension that the public had never seen. It wasn't just about a message anymore. It was about loyalty, intentions, and the realities behind the friendships that fans idolized. Was Durk fully honest? Were relationships being tested without the public noticing? The streets buzzed with speculation, and social media exploded in debates. For Durk, the situation became delicate. Responding publicly risked escalating the drama, but staying silent allowed rumors to grow unchecked. He chose to let the music do the talking. Every verse released in the following weeks became sharper, more pointed, and layered with coded messages. I gave my all. But the trust was cracked. Now I watch. I move. I never look back. The coded lyrics carried messages fans could interpret, but left room for ambiguity. Some read it as frustration at betrayal, some as reflection on loyalty, and some as a direct response to Von's mother's claims. Everyone had an opinion, but only Durk knew the full story behind the words. Meanwhile, King Von's mother's statements continued to circulate. Interviews, social media posts, and personal accounts from her circle painted a more detailed picture of the struggles Von faced, the people around him, and the tension simmering before the jail message. It wasn't just emotional commentary, it was a revelation about power, trust, and the complexity of relationships in the rap world. Fans began piecing together a timeline. Von's incarceration. The message, Durk's subsequent behavior. And now the public statements from his mother. Every element connected, revealing a deeper narrative that went far beyond the headlines. What seemed like a small disagreement had become a story about loyalty, legacy, and accountability. The streets watched closely. Social media debates turned into real-life discussions. Forums, blogs, and channels analyzed every move, every lyric, every comment. Some sided with Durk, understanding the pressure he faced. Others supported Von's mother, applauding her courage to speak the truth and defend her son's legacy. Inside the industry, colleagues and collaborators noticed the subtle shifts. Studio sessions were more cautious, interactions measured, and alliances reconsidered. What had been a close-knit circle of friends now carried tension in every handshake, every conversation, every shared moment. Pride, loyalty, and ambition had collided, and the fallout was visible to anyone paying attention. For Durk, the lesson was clear. Trust is earned, words have consequences, and silence doesn't always mean peace. For Von's mother, speaking out was about protecting her son's legacy and holding others accountable. And for the fans, it was a lesson in reading between the lines, understanding context, and seeing that fame often magnifies the smallest fissures into public crises. The message, the claims. And the resulting chaos had transformed a simple exchange into a story that would be remembered. It was no longer just about two men, it was about loyalty, family, and the cost of truth in a world that rarely tolerates honesty without consequence. And in the streets, in the music, and in the hearts of fans, one thing became undeniable. The story was far from over. After King Von's mother went public with her claims, the story exploded. Social media became a storm of opinions, memes, and debates. Fans scrutinized every detail: the jail message, Durk's previous posts, old interviews, and even studio session footage. Every line, every gesture, and every verse was dissected like evidence in a courtroom. Durk remained calculated. He didn't rush to respond publicly. He didn't engage in arguments online. Instead, his music spoke in coded messages, expressing disappointment, frustration, and lessons learned without explicitly naming names. Trust is fragile. Loyalty's tested. Some switch lanes. Some stay invested. The lyrics weren't just creative, they were strategic. They reassured fans that he was aware of the tension while maintaining control over the narrative. Anyone watching closely could read between the bars, understanding that Durk was addressing the claims and the scrutiny surrounding him. Meanwhile, Von's mother doubled down. In interviews and social media posts, she shared more context, revealing nuances of Von's relationships and the pressures he faced behind the scenes. Her statements added layers to a story already rich with tension. She didn't just speak for her son, she exposed the struggles, betrayals, and challenges that shaped his legacy. Fans began connecting the dots. The jail message, the music, the posts, the interviews, it all became part of a narrative about loyalty tested, trust questioned, and the consequences of fame. Discussions online turned heated. Some defended Durk, emphasizing his growth and measured responses. Others backed Von's mother, praising her courage to speak truth and protect her son's memory. Inside the industry, the tension was palpable. Studio sessions became more cautious. Collaborations were weighed carefully. The ripple effects of the message and her claims affected not just the artists, but the entire network around them. Loyalty, once assumed, now demanded constant verification. For Durk, the situation was a reminder of the fine line between personal relationships and public perception. One wrong move could ignite rumors, intensify scrutiny, or damage trust further. He used the lessons learned from this moment to navigate his music, interviews, and online presence with precision. Von's mother, on the other hand, had achieved her goal, drawing attention to the truth, protecting her son's legacy, and forcing everyone from fans to the media to confront uncomfortable realities about trust, loyalty, and fame. Her words weren't just commentary, they were a statement about power, influence, and accountability in hip-hop. As the media storm grew, the narrative shifted. What was once a private exchange between Durk and Von became a public lesson about how fame exposes cracks, how loyalty is tested, and how even the closest bonds can be fragile under pressure. Fans, streets, and industry insiders alike realized that the truth behind relationships is rarely simple. Every lyric Durk released now carried added weight. Every post from Von's mother was examined carefully. And through it all, the story grew darker, more complex, and far more cinematic than anyone could have anticipated. The streets learned a lesson. The fans watched closely, and the world began to understand. When trust is questioned, loyalty is tested, and truth comes out. No relationship is ever the same. The drama wasn't just entertainment, it was a study in loyalty, betrayal, and legacy. And on RAPSHOCK, fans would get the full story, unfiltered, uncut, and unforgettable. Once King Von's mother went public, the story no longer stayed behind closed doors. Social media exploded into chaos. Every post, every lyric, every old interview from Lil Durk was dissected. Fans and bloggers debated endlessly, trying to decode hidden meanings and judge loyalty. The streets felt the tension to Chicago's hip-hop community, where reputation and trust are everything. Watched closely as this private matter spiraled into a public reckoning. Durk stayed measured. He didn't post angry responses or call anyone out publicly. Instead, he poured the energy into his music. Every verse, every line carried coded messages that reflected disappointment. Lessons learned and loyalty tested, gave my all. But some switched lanes. I rise alone, I feel the pains. Fans could feel the intensity. Every lyric seemed to respond indirectly to Von's mother's claims. Some interpreted it as frustration, some as reflection, and others as an explanation of Durk's perspective on loyalty and trust. It became clear Durk was taking control of the narrative without escalating the drama publicly. Meanwhile, Von's mother didn't hold back. She revealed more layers of the story, sharing insights about her son's relationships, the pressures he faced, and the people around him. Her revelations were raw, emotional, and strategic. She wasn't just speaking for her son, she was reshaping the public perception of loyalty, trust, and accountability in hip-hop. The reaction was immediate. Fans analyzed timelines, decoded lyrics, and scrutinized social media activity. Some sided with Durk, respecting his composure and measured approach. Others supported Von's mother, applauding her courage to speak openly about the truth. The debate wasn't just online, carried over into interviews, radio shows, and even street conversations. The tension affected the industry too. Studio sessions became careful, collaborations were reassessed, and friendships were tested. Those who were once close had to navigate the fallout carefully, aware that loyalty and trust had been publicly questioned. Every decision carried weight, and the ripple effects of the jail text and her claims continued to shape interactions. For Durk, the lesson was clear. Fame magnifies everything. One text, one misinterpreted message, or one public claim can alter perception, trust, and relationships. His strategy of letting music speak while avoiding direct confrontation was a masterclass in navigating public scrutiny. Von's mother, on the other hand, had succeeded in her goal, protecting her son's legacy, revealing the truth and forcing fans and the streets to recognize the complexity of loyalty and trust. Her voice ensured that Von's story wasn't rewritten or overshadowed. It was amplified. The public reckoning had only begun. The jail message, Durk's coded responses, and Von's mother's revelations transformed a private exchange into a cautionary tale about trust, loyalty, and accountability. Fans now understood that the stakes in hip-hop aren't just music, they're relationships, reputation, and legacy. And through it all, RAPSHOCK continued to cover every angle, every revelation, and every reaction. From coded lyrics to public statements, RAPSHOCK brought the full story, unfiltered and cinematic, keeping fans informed and the legacy of King Von alive. The streets had learned the hard way. Loyalty is fragile. Trust is precious, and when the truth comes out, nothing stays the same. The storm had raged for weeks. Social media, blogs, and fan forums dissected every message, lyric, and statement. What began as a single jail text from Lil Durk had exploded into one of the most talked about events in hip-hop. King Von's mother's revelations added fuel to the fire, reshaping public perception and forcing fans, insiders, and the streets to confront a story far more complex than they realized. Lil Durk, navigating the chaos, emerged with clarity. He didn't lash out publicly, and he didn't respond to every accusation. Instead, he channeled his energy into music. Every verse, every line carried lessons learned, disappointment, and the weight of loyalty tested. I gave my all. Some switched lanes. I keep moving. I feel the pains. His lyrics became a reflection of resilience and growth, showing the world that handling betrayal doesn't always mean confrontation. Sometimes it means understanding, reflecting, and letting your art speak louder than words. King Von's mother had achieved something powerful. Her statements didn't just defend her son, they demanded accountability, protected his legacy, and exposed the realities of trust, loyalty, and fame in the rap world. Her voice reminded everyone that behind the music, behind the fame, are real people navigating relationships tested by ambition, pressure, and scrutiny. Fans in the streets now had a full narrative. They saw that the jail text, the coded verses, and the mother's claims were all part of a larger story, a story about loyalty, trust, and the cost of fame. They saw how relationships can fracture, but also how resilience and clarity can guide someone through the storm. And that's where RAPSHOCK comes in. Our channel doesn't just report news, we break down the stories behind the stories. We analyze lyrics, decode hidden messages, and reveal the human truths behind hip-hop's biggest moments. From Lil Durk's coded verses to King Von's mother's revelations, RAPSHOCK brings fans closer to the real story, giving context, depth, and insight that headlines often miss. The saga of Von, Durk, and that jail text is more than drama, it's a lesson. Loyalty is fragile, trust is priceless, and actions have consequences that echo far beyond the moment. On RAPSHOCK, we don't just tell the story. We explore the impact, the emotions, and the legacies that shape hip-hop culture as the dust settled. One truth remained clear. King Von's influence persists. Lil Durk's growth is evident, and the story is immortalized in the music and the lessons learned. RAPSHOCK ensures that fans understand it all, connecting the dots between the headlines and the real human experiences behind them. In the world of hip-hop, loyalty, betrayal, and legacy are intertwined. And for those watching closely, one channel captures the full story, unfiltered, cinematic, and unforgettable. That channel is RAPSHOCK, where the streets speak, the legends live on, and the truth always hits harder than the headlines. The story ends, but the lessons remain. If this story of King Von, Lil Durk, and the shocking claims from Von's mother grabbed your attention, don't stop here. On RAPSHOCK, we dive deeper than headlines, exploring the real stories behind hip-hop's most intense moments. From loyalty tested and betrayal exposed to the personal struggles behind the music, we bring you the full picture, unfiltered and cinematic. Subscribe to RAPSHOCK and hit the notification bell so you never miss a breakdown of the biggest hip-hop drama and the lessons behind it. Comment below, what do you think about loyalty and trust in the rap game? Could these bonds survive fame and pressure, or are cracks inevitable? Join the discussion, share your perspective, and experience the stories like never before. On RAPSHOCK, the streets talk, the legends live on, and the truth always hits harder than the headlines. It's harder than the headlines.